Here is a short reminder about fear itself. So, are you afraid of flying, Sean?
I haven't been flying since I was a child, so I can't really say if I'm afraid or not.
Mm, I used to be. Now, I used to be a small plane pilot guy, and that was fine. But the big planes, no. But some people are afraid of flying, and some of them are afraid for their entire life. Those that learn everything they can about commercial flying will eventually understand the reason for crashes and why they do, and understand the tiny odds of disaster and how much safer flying is than driving. Fly, in fact, soar. So, that's one thing I'd like to connect to reverse mortgages. Learn about them. Don't be afraid of them. And here's why so many people in this country are afraid of the reverse. And, and they have such a stigma. So people ask me if it's actually the kids that are the problem. No, they realize that it's best for the parents and themselves when it comes to quality of life and preservation of the estate. They're all for it, usually, those that understand it. In fact, we've seen so many examples where the legacy actually grows. But our guest from a couple of weeks ago, Philip Walker, had educated me on the real history of what brought that stigma into place. And back in the 50s and 60s, banks had reverse mortgages. They aimed at strapped people, or people who were strapped, that lived in their home. They were allowed to live in their home till they passed away, moved, or in many cases.
Were they called reverse mortgages?
Yeah, that's
back
the
then?
problem. They were called reverse mortgages. And sometimes if the loan exceeded, like if the people lived longer and the loan amount exceeded the value of the home, they would be kicked out of the home. And for whatever reason, usually because of death or whatever, the bank would sell the property, because in that case, in those loans, that's what they were allowed to do, and the heirs would get a lousy 5%. Now, sometimes banks didn't do well, but I think most of all, they probably did. And that's why the bank owns the home is kind of come into place, because if all you're going to get is 5%, the bank might as well own it. So those are no longer available. They haven't been since the 60s. But I think it's our fault in the business. We keep calling them reverse mortgages. And people who were around back then remember how bad they used to be. They ain't bad no more. So I'm just telling us all, you got to take the power into your own hands and learn.